Hello there, this is Mike, and I just wanted to make an update video on my Stephen King collection. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of Stephen King stuff. These are just the books. I didn't drag out my movies, but I do have quite a few Stephen King movies on Blu-ray and DVD. But anyway, I wanted to go through what I have. I am missing a few, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video. So I'm gonna have to go back and forth because my bed was about the only place I knew where I could lay these out. But here's where I'll start. You got Carrie. I have 2 copies of Salem's Lot. Usually when I have a copy that's quite beat up, if I find a newer copy, I'll try to replace the beat up copy, but I don't want to get rid of the beat up copy. Here's a copy of The Shining. I have 2 copies of Night Shift. I have 3 copies of The Stand. If I'm not mistaken, this is my first copy that the spine of it was falling apart, so I had to tape it. Then I found this copy, and it was a mess too. And then I got this copy, which is better. Then we got The Dead Zone and Firestarter and Dance Macabre. Then I have 2 copies of Cujo. And then I have a copy of the Bachman books, which contains Rage, The Long Walk, Road Work, and The Running Man. But I let my professor in college borrow it because her husband had never read Rage, and she still has that copy. So shout out to Professor Witten. But this is in that copy of the Bachman books, and it's The Running Man, and this is the movie version because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then you have the first book of The Gunslinger called The Dark Tower, or the first book of the Dark Tower series called The Gunslinger. About this same time, they released the movie Creepshow, and this is Stephen King's first screenplay. And then different seasons, Christine, Cycle of the Werewolf, Pet Sematary, Eyes of the Dragon, Talisman with he co-wrote with Peter Straub. There's another Richard Bachman book called Thinner. And then I have 2 copies of Skeleton Crew. See? And the novella The Mist is in Skeleton Crew. I have it on audio cassette in 3D sound. It's pretty awesome. And around that same time, 1986, here's Batman issue 400. If you notice, October 1986. Special introduction by Stephen King. I found that on either Amazon or eBay for like $10. So I had to have it. It's Batman issue 400. And then we got It. The Dark Tower, The Drawing of the Three. That's the second book. Misery, Tommyknockers, The Dark Half. My 3 copies of The Stand right there. Well, he released a complete and uncut edition, and that's this one right here. As you notice, this book was released to coincide with the TV miniseries. And then you got 4 Past Midnight. Dark Tower 3, The Wastelands, Needful Things, Gerald's Game, Dolores Claiborne, Nightmares and Dreamscapes, Insomnia, Rose Madder. And then his next novel, The Green Mile, he released in chapters, one a month. I was working at Walmart at the time, so I would get them as soon as they come in on the day and buy them. There's Two Dead Girls, Mouse on the Mile, Coffee's Hands, Bad Death of Edward Delacroix, Night Journey, and Coffee on the Mile. I believe that's one of my favorite Stephen King movies. I love The Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption. I think is probably the two best, in my opinion. Then we got Desperation and The Regulators. That's a Bachman book. And these two kind of parallel each other. The Dark Tower 4, Wizard and Glass, Bag of Bones, Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, Hearts in Atlantis, which is probably, in my opinion, the worst Stephen King novel. I just found it boring, and it was a slog to get through, but I still love it. It's Stephen King. Storm of the Century, that is a screenplay. He wrote that directly for the screen as a TV miniseries. This is the screenplay. And I have On Writing, and that was a gift from my friend Lisa and Chris Morris. Then we got Dreamcatcher, Black House, which is the sequel to The Talisman that he wrote with Peter Straub. Around the same time as when the Rose Red miniseries came out on television and written by Stephen King, and they released this to coincide with that miniseries. It's not by Stephen King. It's Ridley Pearson, I believe, wrote it, but under a pseudonym. And then you got Everything's Eventual from Buick 8. Here's Dark Tower 5, Wolves of the Kala, Dark Tower 6, Song of Susanna. For some reason, I do not know why I have two copies of the Dark Tower 7. Maybe I do kind of like this cover. I like the skull in the background. Maybe that's the reason I bought it. I don't know. And then I got Faithful. He wrote with Stuart Nan about the Boston Red Sox. Stephen loves the Boston Red Sox, so he wrote that with Stuart Nan. Then you got Colorado Kid, Cell, Lizzie's Story, Blaze, Dew McKee, and then this came out. It's Transgressions, and it was the first time that The Things They Left Behind, written by Stephen King, first time in paperback. It is based around September 11th, and then he put it in the collection book Just After Sunset. So there's the first time in paperback, and then it was released in the collection book Just After Sunset. Here's Under the Dome Part 1 and Part 2, Blockade Billy, Full Dark No Stars, 11/22/63. He collaborated with John Mellencamp and T-Bone Burnett on Ghost Brothers of Darkland County. And this is the deluxe edition, CD and DVD. And then you have Joyland, Dr. Sleep, which is a sequel to The Shining, Mr. Mercedes, Revival, Finders Keepers, Bizarre Bad Dreams, End of Watch, Charlie and the Choo Choo, which is written under a pseudonym. It's basically a children's book. And there's a comment that says, if I were to ever write a children's book, it would be just like this. He wrote it under a pseudonym, Beryl Evans. He actually wrote it. It parallels with the Dark Tower series. And then he worked on a comic book with Scott Snyder and Raphael Albuquerque called American Vampire. He worked on the first 5 issues. Here is the first 5 issues of American Vampire. And then Elevation. Why I have 2 copies of The Institute. I have no idea. If It Bleeds, Later, Billy Summers, and my boss bought me these last two, Gwendy's Final Task and Holly. My boss got me these. Alright, then I have a few more extra Stephen King stuff. Books. I have The Life and Fiction of the Master of the Macabre Stephen King, Art of Darkness by Douglas Winter. Stephen King Goes to the Movies. It's just a collection book featuring Shawshank Redemption, 1408, Children of the Corn, The Mangler, and Hearts in Atlantis, all made into films. And they're all in these collection books spread out. Then I have Stephen King Companion, edited by George Beam. And then I have, this is really old. I bought this when I was still in high school, I believe. The Complete Stephen King Encyclopedia, the definitive guide to the works of America's master of horror, Stephen J. Spignesi. This is old. Copyright 1991, so yeah, I was still in high school when I bought this. And then my friend Tracy picked this up for me, Castle Rock Kitchen. It's a cookbook with good recipes from the world of Stephen King. Like I said, there are a few books that I don't have. I've got so many, I always forget what I have and what I don't have. But the ones I don't have are The Dark Tower, The Wind Through the Keyhole, which was written after the final Dark Tower book. And then, excuse me, The Dark Man, which is very rare and very expensive. Gwendy's Button Box, which is the first part of Gwendy's Final Task. I don't have it. I could have swore I had a copy of Sleeping Beauties that he wrote with his son Owen King, but I guess I don't. I thought I could have swore I had a copy of The Outsider, but obviously don't. I also don't have a copy of Fairy Tale, which is, he just released it before the current one out called You Like It Darker. I don't have Fairy Tale, and I don't have You Like It Darker yet. I usually try to wait until they come in paperback, but, you know, if like, I didn't wait for If It Bleeds, and then, my friend picked this, my boss picked up this one when it was released and bought it for me. And then I found this one on, like, eBay or Amazon pretty cheap, and she went ahead and picked that up for me also. There you go. I'm a huge fan of Stephen King, obviously. The very first book I ever read was a copy of Carrie. I was in the 7th grade. I checked it out of the library at Simons Middle School, and I became hooked, and I was like, you know, this is how I want to write. I want to write from now on, after reading my first Stephen King book, Carrie, when I was in the 7th grade. And obviously, it took a long while, but I actually made it come true. I am a writer/journalist, so, but yeah, this is all my Stephen King stuff, except for the films. I didn't feel like dragging those out. Thanks for watching, and usually I just put maybe the stuff that I don't have. I usually go like flea markets and, you know, bookstores and stuff like that, used bookstores and stuff, and find the ones I don't have. I hardly ever buy anything brand new unless it's like a paperback, when they finally come out in paperback. But there you go. Thanks for watching. My name's Mike. Talk to you later.